Well, here we go with an email from Tom Savage, box office top 10 in a moment. Tom Savage, BA Honours, including History of Journalism, winner of a copy of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on the Janice Long Show in 1991.
That's a prize to cherish.
Dear Dashing and Dotty, I fear your talk of N dashes, this is EN dashes,
Yes.
may have woken Compositor's Corner with a jolt.
Oh dear.
You'll obviously find us sitting over by the old font, which is actually...
That's very good. It's a good joke.
I assume, and maybe the best joke in the podcast.
Okay.
I assume I will be emailing number 703 on the subject, but in case it adds anything, some history.
Here we are.
Colon. N dashes, EN, and their big brother M dashes, EM, hark back to the typeset days of newspapers when every line of text was set out on a plate by hand,
Yes.
and compositors could use them for different purposes and to take up a certain amount of space. An N dash, named because it's a dash as wide as a lowercase letter N, would be used as your caller last week said, not caller, a writer, contributor last week said, much like a colon, or within a sentence, like a comma. If you use dashes within sentences rather than within words, they should probably be N dashes. But, says Tom, no one cares. M dashes, EM, a dash as wide as a lowercase m,
Okay.
have somewhat fallen out of fashion and have been replaced by the ellipsis, the ... which I overuse ridiculously.
What, when in your novels?
Yeah, all the time. To indicate, which is what the editor's for, to take them all out again, to indicate a pause in reading. They were originally as wide as the line of font was tall, and you'll often find them in historic newspaper headlines to split sections that shouldn't be read on in one go.
They're historically as wide as the line of font is tall.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Got it.
So a historical headline would go, something bad's happened, M dash, loads of people are dead.
Got it.
To accuse these characters, to access these characters on fruit-based devices, if you hold down the hyphen key, you get the option to choose an N or M dash instead. Or try typing two ordinary dashes together, then keep typing and see what happens. You might find Bill Gates pops up and turns them into an N or M dash for you.
Okay, so I'm going to hold down the hyphen key. Oh, yeah, look.
There you go.
I'd never seen that before.
And you get the choice. Hope that fills in some gaps with appropriately sized punctuation marks. Tinkety hyphen tonk. So this is how you write it.
Tinkety N dash.
Tinkety hyphen tonk N dash and down with the Nazis. And then P.S. upper and lower case letters are so called because page compositors kept the letters they used to make up words in boxes. And the box or case for capital letters were physically above the one for normal letters.
Very good.
So if you wanted a capital B, you reached into the upper case and into the lower case for normal ones. Let's hear it for Compositor's Corner. Where would we be without
that? Is fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Correspondence at kermodeandmayo.com. Box office top 10 at 17, Master Gardener.
Which I thought was, it's another Paul Schrader movie, therefore it is a man worrying about himself and his past and his guilt, and it's all right. I mean, it's got solid performances. Joel Edgerton is good. Schrader can't write women characters to save his life, but there we go. It's mid-range, solid Schrader.
Someone referring to themselves as Dirk 1 says, blue collar, hardcore, American Gigolo, Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters, Light Sleeper, First Reformed, putting aside his writing credentials. Schrader has made his fair share of brilliant movies, yet all we hear about is the Exorcist prequel. That's rather unfair, as many directors have duds.
No, you don't only hear about that. When I did my review of it, I said Paul Schrader, who wrote Taxi Driver, and Paul Schrader, who made American Gigolo and Light Sleeper, and Paul Schrader, who recently made First Reformed. So, sorry, not true.
Number 10, not that's in this country, Gode Cha.
Which I haven't seen, wasn't press screen. If anybody has seen it, please let us know.
Correspondence at kermodeandmayo.com. Number 9 here, number 9 in the States, Evil Dead Rise.
Guess what?
You've seen it. Excellent, great. What do you think?
I haven't seen it. It was a bank holiday.
Exactly, loads of time. You can't use bank holiday as an excuse for not seeing something.
I was having to prepare other stuff.
You're never going to see it.
I am going to see it. I am going to see it.
I don't think
I am going to see it when it comes out on DVD.
Really? Okay. Number 8, Beau is Afraid.
I almost feel like I want to throw this ball to you. Simon, Beau is afraid.
Self-indulgent twaddle.
Did you laugh at any of the jokes?
One.
Which one was?
There was a painting of, right towards the end.
Oh, yeah, with the big eyes
there's a
portrait. Okay.
But really,
I thought there were bits of it that were very... I mean, there's no question that it's self-indulgent. And certainly on the question of who did Ari Aster make this movie for, the answer is himself.
Yeah. Number 7 in the UK, 12 in the States. Are You There, God? It's Me, Mark.
Loved it. And last week when we were doing the show from the Union Chapel, we had somebody speaking from the audience who absolutely felt the same way, thought the characters were terrific. She was a fan of the Judy Blume saw. Have you read the novel?
No.
No, me neither. But 50 years old, and I have heard from many people who love the novel, who love the film.
That's taken a long time, hasn't it?
50 years. I'm only saying this because obviously in your case,
I'd like to still be alive if any of my books ever make it. UK number 6, Sisu.
Which is, that great rule that we learned from the Indiana Jones movies, it's okay to do anything if they're Nazis. And so this is, it's kind of, it's Jamari Honda, and it's a brutal black comedy set at the dog end of World War II, with our hero has some gold. The Nazis want the gold. He doesn't want them to have the gold, and he must kill everyone in order to ensure that doesn't happen.
Darren Leithley in Dublin. 3 months after seeing Sisu as part of the Dublin International Film Festival, I went to see it for a second time to check that it was as good as I remembered. Simply, yes.
Yes.
Like a war comic injected with Marvel DNA, the seemingly indestructible near-silent hero takes as much as he dishes out to a horde of Nazis who are bent on stealing his gold. The over-the-top silliness, mostly notably a landmine redeployed as a frisbee, revels in blood and body parts flying out across the screen. A very good dog, too.
I would love to have been at the script meeting when they went, sorry, and then he throws the landmine at somebody's head.
Sometimes, says Darren, you just need to experience some delirious carnage.
You do.
Actually, delirious carnage is not a bad name for a...
I have all their albums.
Yeah.
They're early acoustic stuff.
That's true, but also that's a great name for a movie. But maybe
Delirious Carnage.
Delirious Carnage.
You could use it for a book.
That's true.
Itch 5, Delirious Carnage.
Can I just say, when I was saying I'd like to be alive for whenever any of my books makes it, obviously Itch did. And,
yes, I know. In Australia, are they going to do the other books? The Australian Broadcasting Company?
They're not doing... They did 2 series of Itch.
So that was 2 books?
Well, it was the first book, and then they made the rest.
They
of
made
it
the
up
rest up
because there's an awful lot in the second book, which is very expensive to me.
Does it say based on characters created by?
Yes, in the title sequence.
That's fantastic.
I just watch the title sequence every night before I go to bed.
Yeah, and then you've been going to rehearsals of the Opera Holland Park,
which is not far away now. So
I know you can't come to my. You can't come to my celebration because you're going to be watching your books performed as an opera.
Very, very peculiar. Anyway, I shall report back. Number 5 in the UK, nothing in America, Hypnotic.
Yeah. Ooh. Originally, as I said, listed on the FDA list as Hypnotic, which is a shame it isn't called that. I mean, it is dumb as nuts. And I genuinely wonder how stupid Robert Rodriguez thinks it is, since he is somebody who understands trash sensibility. It's just ridiculous. I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it. It was so ripe and stupid, and he erased his own mind, and pain can keep the mind awake. It's just absolutely, you can feel yourself getting stupider while watching it. But I kind of enjoyed it.
Liam Young said, I thought this was the most entertaining film I've seen this year. Loved it from start to finish. The first act was like the start of an episode of The Sweeney. The whole film is tongue-in-cheek expose of how po-faced Christopher Nolan is. I thought it was a work of genius, but you need to be in on the joke. Didn't stop laughing for the whole movie. Sax Bend says,
I just don't know whether it is in on the joke. I don't know how much Robert Rodriguez thinks it's funny.
It is very silly, but in a fun, engaging 90s way. I enjoyed spotting what looked like ludicrous plot holes and then finding out that they're allowed by the revelations throughout the film. Yeah, it's not going to be close to my top 10 for the year come December, but I had a good time. It's also only 90 minutes long, so it was a good short time.
94.
UK number 4, as in America, Super Mario Brothers the movie. I think we covered that. Number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I had an email from Ollie Fox. Not an email, a text. I'm going to read this to you. So Ollie was, as I said, the person who was doing the Klezmer clarinet thing, and his message, which I'm just about to find now, said, it said, just seen G of the G. I have one question. Why?
Well, that's for someone else to discuss. Number 2 here, number 2 in the States is Fast X.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Fine, I think we've covered that. And number 1
we need
here,
to get merchandise that says family.
that would be good. Number 1 here, number 1 in the States is The Little Mermaid. Lynn and Billy in Chandler's Ford. Dear something with fins and something with legs. As a mum of a 6-year-old girl who intensely believes in fairies, witches, magic and mermaids, it was inevitable that we would make the trip to our local view to see the new Little Mermaid this half-term. I went prior to hearing Mark's review and have still not heard it whilst writing this email, but I'm fairly sure we will agree. I was bored. It was very underwhelming with no sense of joy or wonder other than a moment of dark glee when Melissa McCarthy's Poor Unfortunate Souls, so I don't get that.
That's the song.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. The diverse cast was, well, diverse, but the acting was very one note with no emotion. My 6-year-old liked The Mermaid Tale, but told me she liked the other movie with the shells better, and she meant Marcel the Shell with shoes on. This comment made my soul happier than today's movie. Up with Isabella Rossellini and down with boring Disney remakes. Lynn and Billy in Chandler's Ford. And Lucas McQueen in Edinburgh sent a very long email, but part of it says, I gave the live-action remake of Little Mermaid a watch in IMAX on Friday afternoon, and while my up-and-down relationship with each of the recent remakes had me entering the cinema with slight trepidation, I loved Aladdin, thought it absolutely slapped. Wasn't too
Slapped?
Keen. Yes, thought it absolutely slapped. Slapped what? I don't know.
That word has definitely changed its meaning.
Wasn't too keen on outings like Mulan and Lady and the Tramp, but definitely wasn't a fan of Pinocchio. Okay, I'm extremely happy to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. Rob Marshall definitely played it safe and stuck very close to the original with his interpretation of the story, but that directional decision feels more like he's trying to stay true to the heart of the source material rather than simply not being creative enough to add something new. There is some intriguing nuance added to the relationship between land and sea creatures, and certain side characters enjoy a more fleshed out role. Anyway, he says he can't wait to see it again, but he was disappointed that the crowd he went with didn't like it very much.
So in terms of its box office, it's Disney. It's the 5th best Memorial Day opening ever in the US, 117 million over 4 days. And here, obviously, it's gone straight to number 1. Not really a surprise because the property is so well known. You know, the IP is so solid. Of course, it's going to do that kind of business. Although there is something, I think, sort of heartening about the fact that if you remember that when it was announced that it was going to be a black Ariel, a whole bunch of Fox News fed lunatic replacement theory wingnuts started going, she can't be black. 2 of the reasons given were, 1, the author's Danish, and also she lives under the sea. Can't you go? It's a mermaid. Mermaid, get over yourself. And you know, I don't think any of the live action remakes have added to the, what we'll call for this purpose of this sentence, the cartoon originals. But you know, she's very good in the lead role. I think Melissa McCarthy has fun. I didn't need to be done, but
I think the Lynn and Billy email is interesting because if this movie really, really worked, the 6-year-old who intensely believes in fairies, witches, magic would have loved it. Absolutely would have loved it.
But the thing is that the original animation is so good. There is a reason why it's kind of, it's just kind of indestructible. Those classic Disneys are, I mean, it's funny we talked about classic Disneys because actually, of course, it's what's now referred to as third wave Disney, because our classic Disneys is everything up until Aristocats, you know, when the sort of narrative got lost, but Jungle Book and all that stuff. So anyway.
Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. While you're here, check out all the other videos because they're cool too, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you want to keep up to date with everything Kermode and Mayo's Take, then check out our social channels.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I mean, I would. I have done.
Excellent.